All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Geopolitical Trends, where truth matters. I'm your host, Dr. Walalu. Very, very excited to be with you. I'm even more excited today because I have my good friend, Jayant Bhandari here. We're going to be talking about the disturbing news coming out of, or images, I should say, coming out of India vis-a-vis what just happened regarding Christmas. So before I'll do this, let me just introduce, first of all, Jayant Bhandari. Let me bring him in here. Hi, Jayant.
Hi, thanks for having me, David.
Of
Glad
course,
to be here.
it's always a treat to have you. The whole community was waiting for you. For those who do not know who Jayant Bhandari is, which you should by now if you are you've been watching this channel, Jayant Bhandari has been a US-based institutional investor advisor for a few years. He's also a contributing editor of the Liberty magazine and has written on political, economic, and cultural issues. So do me a favor, guys, go to later on if you want to check full bio for Jayant. I put a full bio in the video description there, so you can check it out. So, well, Jayant, where do I start with these disturbing images that's coming out of India? So I'm gonna play a clip for the audience, for our community here, but I also would like you to just respond to what you are noticing here. So let's take a look here. Okay, it's very disturbing. So first of all, before I'll get into all this, why the police didn't take any action to arrest those individuals and send them to jail?
David, you have to understand that the government is very much on the side of these goons. And the goons have realized for the last 3 decades, if you remember, there was a Babri Masjid mosque demolition which happened in 1991. The government, the judiciary, the goons, they all know that if you go mob up, if you get into gangs, then you can pretty much get away with anything. But moreover, the government has been encouraging, particularly the BJP has been encouraging anything that makes Hinduism look better in comparison to other religions. So this has been happening for decades now. It's starting at least with the Babri Masjid, the demolition of the Babri Mosque. And the court basically went in favor of demolition of Babri Mosque. No one was punished for what happened. And since then, these things have picked pace. They were against Muslims. Now they are increasingly against Christians. And now, just over a month from now, when Valentine's Day happens, couples will be rounded up. They will be beaten up. Girls will be molested because they should not have been going out with other guys. So this has been going on, and it has been escalating as time has passed by.
Wow, I just can't believe what I'm seeing. As far as if we are talking about this great civilization, and at the same time you couldn't respect others' values, traditions, customs, religions, or what have you. So it's very, very disturbing. I'm gonna play another clip for the community here. We'll do one more comment on this, and I'll ask some questions regarding this. Take a listen, guys. Here. Yeah, those, in my opinion, Giant, those are thugs. Those are fanatics in a sense of, what they are doing. Here is where the problem that I am having a hard time accepting is the Modi government, in your opinion, Giant, supporting this recent assault on Christmas decorations.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been going on for decades now, and this has been going up. The BJP government is a, a bunch of goons, and these are fanatics um, who want to get votes based on harming the minorities. And at the same time, David, what is happening is that unemployment is increasing rapidly. There is a lot of anger among people, and that anger, instead of coming against politicians, is coming against whosoever is vulnerable in front of these gangs. So, unfortunately, this is going to be a vicious cycle for the country, because Indians are not pointing fingers at the people who are creating the problems for the country. And as a result, the social and economic situation of India will continue to degrade as time goes by.
Yeah. I was once again, literally, Giant. This last about before even on the eve of Christmas, I just came across some news on my desk, and I said to myself, "No, it can be." So I really had a hard time, And this is not about defending Christianity or what have you. This is about what's right and wrong. And when I saw those kind of clips and images that were coming into on my desk, especially with the one I'm going to be sharing with the community here, except I'm going to mute it. The reason being because there is a soundtrack to that. YouTube doesn't like that. And in addition to that, the individual is speaking Hindi. But I saw the English translation for the captions on it. So let me just play this one here quickly for the community, and we'll go from there. And you guys can read what is he saying in Hindi. Once again, this is again disturbing when you gotta talk openly, publicly about killing people, and yet the government, Modi's government, in my opinion, is kind of. I reached this conclusion, Giant, and I know some in India will lash at me for saying, "Oh, you just don't like Modi, or you don't like India," which has nothing to do with that. I care for Indian citizens like every other human being. They deserve some sort of a normalcy. They deserve some economic, common sense. But when the government is not taking care of that, and when you see in this kind of assaults, it makes me just, I get a little agitated with this when you hear somebody like that. So why, in your opinion, Giant, why is the government supporting these actions by the Hindu fanatics?
Well, at the end of the day, David, you have to understand that the prime responsibility for whatever is happening lies with Indians. And Indians really are this petty minded people. And when I use the word Indian, I'm actually including Pakistanis and Bangladeshis and even Sri Lankans into that term. Uh, they are always looking for taking out their anger on other people. um, Back in and it does not even matter if whether it's Hindus against Christians or Hindus against Muslims or Muslims against Hindus. This is the same thing that happens irrespective of which religion they believe in. And if Christians were a majority in this part of the world, they would have done pretty much exactly what Hindus and Muslims do. If you look at the news of Bangladesh right now, there have been lynching of Hindu houses in Bangladesh. And so whosoever is in majority basically wants to oppress the person who is vulnerable. So this is a oppressor and oppressed society, the whole of South Asia. and they will go after it. There's no concept of self-reflection among these people, which means that they don't really understand that maybe the responsibility for their predicament lies within themselves. So they are looking for someone else to blame. In this case, they are looking for at Christians to blame. Now, there is a lot of envy related with Christians as well, because there was a time when Christians and Western people were looked up to. Indians aspired to the West and Christianity. And now a lot of these people who are doing all this goonism recognize that they can never move to the West, they can never succeed in life, and they know that in their opinion, Christians and Western people are better people, and because they can't rise up to their level, they want to destroy the people they think are higher to them.
I'm starting to feel, Jayant, that, as an American, and I'm starting to sort of get a sense of maybe the rest of the world have had enough of this India, have had enough of this migration from India. I am not, just for the record, I am not anti-immigration. I am not. But what I am against is somebody who's come into my country here and just create havoc, because that's what I'm noticing here. So will I be fair? Will I be right in arguing that this backlash from the West now is pushing more governments to kind of limit visas for Indian nationals to either immigrate or visit or what have you? Will it be right with these governments to take those kind of actions?
Well, Indians have certainly created a horrible image of themselves outside the country. At the moment, India is heavily polluted. The infrastructure is in a horrible shape. And then Indians, a lot of rich Indians who have moved to other countries, even the rich Indians are behaving badly. And just a bit back, a friend of mine wrote to me that in the Gold Coast of Australia, there are Indians all over and creating noise. So unfortunately, David, Indians have created a very bad reputation for themselves. And the problem is that Indians will never self-reflect on it. They will never understand why they are being disliked by the larger world. Because they think that, because they don't really, Indian society does not really have the concept of values. So they don't really understand that when they trouble other people, when they create noise or ruckus in the society, there are people who don't like you. When in India, when you create noise and ruckus, it is a sign that you are powerful. So unfortunately, these people are replicating what they do in India outside the country and thinking that they will get away with it. Unfortunately, there will be horrible repercussions against India as time goes by.
Yeah. Well, it looks like the world is kind of, have had enough. It's coming to its senses. In my opinion, I could be wrong, but I am feeling that the world is coming to its senses regarding this Indian immigrations and so forth. You look at just what happened in Saudi Arabia, kicked out over almost 11,000 Indians. We've had it. I know there are more issues into that, which, by the way, just for the community, I will be addressing one aspect of that tomorrow for the last podcast of the year, especially when it comes down to the question about spying on behalf of Israel, the Indians, like they did in Qatar. That's another conversation for another day. Where my concern, Jayant, where my concern is when I'm seeing, for example, and I heard the disturbed news coming out of Singapore, an Indian citizen defecating in a street. That's to me was like, wait a minute, are you out of your freaking mind? You shouldn't even be here. Should be deported for life. So I'm going to share with you guys just a screen here for you to see with your own eyes right there. This is the image right there. This individual, okay? His name is, I can't pronounce his name right here. This is in Singapore. His name is Ramo Shinaraza. That was an Indian migrant who was fined in Singapore for defecating in public. And you know what the immigrant said? This Ramu said, oh, this is normal behavior in India. What do you make out of this, Jayant?
Yeah, David, I remember this story. This happened about a year or so back, and maybe the court just passed a sentence against him. Yes, he pooped right outside Marina Bay Sands, which is the top hotel in Singapore, and yeah, so they traced him, and now he is facing the consequences. I'm actually surprised that he only got fined $400 for that. I thought Singapore would have fined a lot more and would have put a lifetime ban on him, but
Yeah.
seems that they have been very lenient on him. But this is another problem, David, that these are the reasons. This is one of the big reasons why the quality of Indian workers is very low, because they don't really understand that the world works differently than they think it does. And the end result is that if you go back to Singapore or Hong Kong, Indian maids are not used in those countries because my guess is that they are not trusted enough to do a good job. And as a result, not only middle class IT people in the US are being thrown out of the US. Now, as you rightly said, Saudi Arabia is getting tired of Indians. But the another problem is that there's a huge amount of unemployment, a growing unemployment in India, which means that these people are desperate to be outside India to make a living for themselves. So it's a very ugly situation for these people.
Yeah, but at the same time, Jayant, if they are this desperate, wouldn't this fall on their governments? Isn't that what the role of a government is? Despite being incompetent, we have an incompetent government but at least the government here is making sure that nobody's behaving like erratically, nobody's violating the law, nobody's. Why India would not even Modi to step forward? And at least create a decent environment for average Indian citizen.
Okay, so let me tell you a short story which happened 2 days back. This is from a city very close to where I grew up in, and the city is Satna. A politician walked over to a woman, and he had raped this woman twice or thrice beforehand. And he walked over to this woman to provide him sexual company. The woman declined after having been raped 2 or 3 times by this politician. The woman declined, and she said that if you rape me again, remember that I'm video recording this incident. And what did the politician say? He said, hey, I'm a politician. This BJP is my party. I can do anything. The police is in my pocket, and the government is in my pocket. And then he goes rapes her again. Now, David, the situation is that I know those people. I know the people, the police people in that area. I know the BJP which runs Madhya Pradesh, which is where I grew up. The politician was 100% correct. There's nothing that woman could have done against the man. Even though the video is out, the man will be in prison just for a show off for a few days, and he will be released back to the street, and he will be raping more women in the future. So this is how India works, David. Unfortunately, your problem is that you get a very sanitized version of the news in India, news of what's happening in India, because for the last 2 or 3 decades, Western people have had a romance with India. But the reality of India is very different than the truth, the ground reality of it.
Yeah. Well, you brought up the idea of women, how they are. I mean, I saw, and again, another disturbing video, which I will share with the community right here. I want you guys to see this, and I'll have a Jayant comment on this one here. Take a look here. And the video is muted automatically here, so that's not how a law enforcement officer treat citizens.
Yeah, David, I have never seen an Indian law enforcement person treating people any differently. The moment these people get their uniform, they start thinking they are supermen, and you can do nothing about it because every post is auctioned by the senior officers.
Yeah.
So right from the very top police guy in the province down to the very bottom, every post is auctioned, which
Yeah.
means that bribe money goes to the chief minister, and the DGP, which is the top policeman, gets bribes from his lower level staff, and it goes all the way down to at the lowest level, which means that the lowest level guy is at full freedom to rape and pillage citizenry. That is how it works, and the senior officer cannot do anything about it because senior officer is getting paid the cut from the bribes that the junior officer collects. So unfortunately, this is the way it is, and this is the case absolutely everywhere in the country.
Yeah. Oh, that's disturbing. I feel like literally, I feel compelled now to write a letter to Congress and support the decision of the Donald Trumps regarding the cancellation of the H-1B visas for Indians, because I certainly wouldn't want to see this kind of behavior right here in the US. I never thought I will ever reach a point where I will say, you know what, this particular country, no, can be here in the US. It's my tax dollars after all. So do you think, in your opinion, Jayant, by having Donald Trump now canceling or restricting, I should say, the H-1B visa for Indians, is this a message that Donald Trump is sending to Modi?
Well, absolutely, and also Indians are the biggest recipient of H-1B visas.
Yeah.
And there have been a huge amount of frauds associated with H-1B. This has been known to the IT people for decades, and I'm surprised they did not do much about it until recently. So yes, this is a fraud that must be dealt with. A lot of H-1B visa people come to work in 7-Eleven kind of jobs. I think the average salary of an H-1B guy is probably $70,000 or $80,000 per year, which is lower than the GDP per capita of the US. So this is not really a program for the highly skilled people. This is actually a program for people who are below average compared to Americans. So yeah, I'm all with Donald Trump in terms of restricting visas for people from the third world, and I can fully understand why he's making it difficult for Indian students to come to the US, and why he's making it he's restricting H-1B people to renew their visas, because also at the end of the day, these people stay attached to India. They don't never want to assimilate in the US, and they still think that it is India which is the greatest society in the world. So unfortunately, they are bringing it on themselves.
Yeah. How can they think like that, Jayant, when we know the level of poverty that exists in India? We know, for example, the corruption. We know the crumbling infrastructure. How can they even be thinking in these terms, claiming this global role, when they don't have even a basic notion of how to behave publicly? Doesn't even exist. So do you blame the government, Modi in this case, or any other, or do you blame the whole society? Because Indian citizens don't seem to want to improve.
I blame the whole society, David, because, and it does not matter which religion they belong to. It does not matter whether they are Hindus, Muslims, or Christians. And while we might be sympathetic about Christians right now, the reality is that if you looked closely at Christianity in India, as a Christian, a European would not even recognize Indian Christianity as Christianity, because Indian Christians tend to believe in what the local pagan culture believes in, which is they believe in prophecy, they believe in faith healing, they believe in exorcism, and these are the only focus of Christians for most of the Christians in that country, which means that these Christians are actually very different from Christianity in Europe. It's a very primitive kind of religion, and it has been degraded into a local religion as well. So it does not matter which religion you believe in, but unfortunately, it is the culture, and at the end of the day, it is the larger population which is amoral and irrational. And that is the key problem of India, because no one fights for what is right. I mean, look at that the case I just told you, the politician raping a woman, a married woman, and continuing to rape, and thinks that he can get away with it. Now, the problem is that I would expect the society to rise up and say, hey, what are you doing? This cannot continue. I will not vote for you. But unfortunately, that does not happen. People will vote for him, and people will, they will actually encourage the government to let him go free. So unfortunately, the problem belongs to the society. And those people, when they come to America, they are not going to turn American overnight. They will actually stay Indian. They will continue to be third world people, and their next generation will actually become worse with time. So unfortunately, they are not ingredients to participate in a developed society or in a civilization. So unfortunately, they are a deduction from the civilizational values of the West.
Yeah. Well, still, I mean, I'm sure now the European countries, in addition to the US, now on Canada also, I mean, we are rethinking this kind of policies regarding allowing Indian citizens to come over here, because this kind of behaviors we are noticing for the last year and a half or two, it's just not compatible with someone who wants to migrate to another society, another culture, want to assimilate, want to learn, want to develop, and so forth. They don't seem to be thinking in these terms. And personally, as a taxpayer, I care for my country. I don't care about what Europeans are doing. For me, I start to notice, like, I almost had if I may share this quick story, I had almost an argument with one at the supermarket, because the way he was behaving, you take food and eat and all, and I was like, man, hold it a second. What are you doing? You're not supposed to do that here. You can't do that here. You want that food, you go pay for it. Oh, I'm sorry, I was just, I'd say, you stop, or I'm going to have to take care of you. He understood what I meant. I got angry. It's because I didn't like the fact that they're playing sort of stupid, when in reality they are not. Do you know what they are doing? So this is why I'm saying the rest of the world now is waking up to, like, this India thing has to stop. We're not allowing them here. So now, do you see, Jayant, this particular approach by the Western world? Do you see the same approach by the Muslim world, like what we saw, for example, now United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and some other Gulf states?
Yeah. Clearly, David, what is happening is that there are a lot of illegal workers in Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, because the situation in India is so bad economically. People can't find jobs. And whatever jobs were available are going away, because Indians are destroying their economy. So unfortunately, Saudi Arabia and UAE are actually getting rid of a lot of those people. And from what I understand, Saudi Arabia has kicked out more Indians in 2025 than the US did. So there's a lot of problems that the world has because of these illegal Indians overstaying their welcome in a lot of countries. And again, it goes back to the fact that Indian economic situation is horrendous. And David, this is funny that we continue to believe that India is growing at 8.5% per year, which is completely untrue. There's
no way.
nothing. you can do to make me believe it, but even the international bodies agree with that number. And the reason they agree with that is because the raw data is provided by the Indian government. So Indian government can provide them anything, and the international organization go along with that data. But unfortunately, the situation is horrendous in the country.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with your assertion, Jayant. Especially with those numbers you mentioned, they are given by the Indian government. There is no way. There is no way, given when you look at what's going on inside India, economically speaking. And I kind of got a chance to have my hand on certain videos coming out of inside the country there that I got a chance to. So it becomes just one of those. There is no way. I just won't believe what they are saying anyway. So. And just FYI for the community, the case of Saudi Arabia, by the way, the total number, to my knowledge, of the Indian being kicked out of the rest of the world from different countries reached about 25,000. They were sent back to India. So that's to my knowledge, the way I see it. And I will be, as I said, I'll be talking about tomorrow on one specific aspect of the intelligence for that.
And David, last week, Singapore arrested at least 1 or 2 Indians, 1 Nepali from Singapore. Now, this is something that you don't think would happen in Singapore, because people who are illegal people simply don't go to Singapore, because the punishment that result from your illegal nature are not very nice. So, but still, these Indians were caught because they overstayed, and they overstayed because, again, the job situation is horrendous in the country, and there is nothing improving the situation in the country right now.
Yeah. Well, if they have this horrendous economic situations, isn't that the job of the government? They shouldn't export their kind of problems to other countries. It's like family. When you think about your family, do you want family members to come just create problems in your home?
Yeah, but David, remember, Modi is obsessed with building temples. He's obsessed with showing off how religious he is. And the government is obsessed with destroying mosques and churches. They have no economic agenda. Everything economy related they talk about is for a show. They have no interest in improving the economy of the country. They don't even understand how to improve it.
Yeah. Well, then, if that's what the Indian people wants, because they want to vote for Modi, more power to you, but you stay in your country. You don't come over here, at least for me. I speak as an American, so I can speak for others. So you mentioned earlier about some, in the case of Singapore. It just came to my knowledge, and this is through intelligence sources, Jayant, that you remember the Bondi attack in Australia. You're aware of that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was behind closed doors investigation. And again, you know what they found? They found that this case wasn't isolated. They found 4, and I say 4, Hindu extremists from India used the fake Muslim identities to operate inside Australia.
Oh, okay. I didn't know about that.
The information is coming out. I got the word from my own sources. And to me, it was like when I checked on some other things, I found out that inside India, this tends to be the case, to blame the Muslims inside India. So what they will do is the fraud. They will create fake IDs. They will create fake accounts and attach them to Muslim identities. So, and this is what I'm saying. If those people wants to behave like that, more power to them, except that they have to stay in their own country. They shouldn't be coming over here moving forward. So where do you see this going, Jayant? Now you had the Christians attacking the Muslims. You have the Hindus attacking the Christians. Now they are also attacking the Muslims. Where this is going in India?
Yeah, this will continue to escalate, David. As I told you, this is started at least, if not earlier, it is started in 1991
Yeah.
when Hindu Muslim problems started happening, when Hindus decided they wanted to convert a lot of mosques into temples. Whether they knew whether those were historical temples or not, it didn't matter. They wanted to convert those to show a sign as a sign of supremacy over Muslims. And unfortunately, this is going to continue to escalate because the economic situation is very bad. People are unemployed. And as you do these things, economic situation will worsen and more people will become unemployed. So this is a vicious cycle for the country. So unfortunately, this will continue to happen. As I have told you in the past, David, India is falling apart. There's nothing that will stop the falling apart of that country. It will fall apart into pieces and it will revert itself back to what India was like before Europeans came. It will go into subsistence farming, it will go into hand to mouth living. India's future is horrendous.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be, I mean, wouldn't that be okay for them too? So they can sort of rebuild or they can restart from scratch? You have to tear it down and rebuild? Wouldn't that be bad for Indian society?
A reversal to its pre-European way of life will actually be a better way for India because um, uh, th- uh, 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 that life will bring back the Hindu Taliban. Basically, they will
Yeah.
bring in the kind of institutions that are more suited to Indians. And it is my grandmom used to say this quite often that there are some people who are better off staying at the edge of starvation because it keeps them focused. And I think once India starts facing major economic problems, a lot of these people will start becoming focused because then they will have to start worrying about their evening meal. And when they have to start worrying about evening meal, then they will not be trying the goonism that you showed just a bit back in the
Yeah.
videos. So I think it will, in a way, will be more conducive to the culture of India.
Yeah, well, that's to me where I see the role of a government. Instead of focusing on, just improving the living conditions for an average citizen. You don't have to build them this high-end whatever, just the basics, so they can at least have something to live for, to look for, instead of just living in a misery or bringing this misery to the rest of the world. That's to me the basic. I looked at one clip, Jayant. I'm going to share it with you and the community here. Take a look here, please. And again, this is not a laughing matter. This is not a laughing matter. It's the idea of just basic road for safety for everybody. So when you think about a competent government, at least they need to think in those terms of basics. But apparently, it doesn't matter. So why should we worry about having Indians here? We shouldn't.
Yeah, and look at that video again, David. It's full of problems, and no one is doing the right thing. The SUV is driving the wrong way. The truck is driving the wrong way. It is overloaded. The road divider is badly constructed, which meant that the truck went over it and got toppled. As you can see, there's a round-headed end of the road divider, which was the reason why the truck toppled. So they're just, how who do you blame here? And the problem is that uh, Indians don't listen because they don't really understand rules. But moreover, the government people, the policeman there is only interested in collecting his bribes. So he very likely collected the
Yeah.
bribes bribe from the truck driver because the truck driver was bringing in a truck which he was not allowed to. So someone made some money there. So everything is about bribes in that country. Unfortunately, no one is focused on building value or adding value to other people.
Yeah. I have one last clip here I want to share. This is from the richest city inside India. And this is when you realize the problem with the government lack of vision, lack of having some sort of a sound public policy, especially when it comes down to transportation. Take a look here. Yeah, this is it was in the richest city in India. So it's disturbing. And again, I just want to put this on the record. What I'm doing has nothing to do with not liking India or not liking Modi or not liking the citizens, whatever. All I'm doing, I am providing and putting the facts on the table for the average Indian citizen to see and comprehend. I know some will have a hard time accepting the truth. But again, I can't be cherry picking. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, more power to them. That's all I have to say. I'll give you a last word, Jayant, here. Oh, first of all, I have two questions. I'll ask you the first one. What lies ahead for the minority groups inside India? Not just Christians, not just Muslims, other minorities.
It's the whole society runs on might makes right concept. So whosoever has the power oppresses the person who is vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Now, the politician I just told you about earlier, he's a Hindu politician. The woman he raped was a Hindu woman. It does not matter. Religion is immaterial in that area. Mm-hmm. What matters is who has the power. So at the end of the day, it's always might makes right concept that runs through that system. And in fact, the superintendent of the police of that state is a Muslim, was a Muslim, the earlier one. And he was behind killing about 150 people because he allowed an illegal firecracker factory to run there. So unfortunately, it is not really about religion as much as it is about who has the power. And if Christians were in majority, they would be doing pretty much exactly the same thing as Christians in, I would say, Central African Republic do. So, Christianity, just because it's a nice, compassionate, tolerant, easygoing religion in the West, does not mean it stays the same in the third world countries. In India, it does not matter which religion you are. It is all about who is in power. And it's the same in Bangladesh and Pakistan. It's the might makes right concept of society. And this is how Indians think. And that thinking stays with them all their lives and into their future generation. And the caste problem is a derivative of it, which is might makes right. Whosoever has might wants to keep might, wants to oppress other people. And if lower caste and minority become powerful, they are no better than the majority people.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Indian citizens will wake up to the reality of how they are perceived around the world. They can make the change.
David, I'm 56 years old, and I have seen Indians going more and more asleep rather than waking up in these years. And the reason is that the whole leadership of the country has been upended. The British left institution and leaders in India, and those people are now all gone. Modi is the first prime minister who was born outside after the British had left. So now Indians are getting more and more feral, more and more wild as time has gone by. So forget about things improving. You can be absolutely sure that things will continue to degrade and worsen with time.
Yeah. I am already, before I give you a last word, I just want to share this. I'm already concerned about one upcoming event. And the upcoming event has to do with India taking over the chairmanship of the BRICS. And I'm like wondering, Jayant, is India in a position to take over the chairmanship of BRICS? And this is why I always said India shouldn't be in BRICS because it does not belong. Yes, them say they are founding members and so forth. So what? If they can bring anything of substance to the table, you kind of get rid of them. Simple as that. So I'll give you a last word, Jayant. How do you
Well,
see
yeah.
2020? How do you see 2026 moving forward?
Well, certainly for India, it will be far worse than 2025 has been, and 2027 will be far worse than 2026, because then in late 26 and 27, Modi will be thinking about federal elections. So things will continue to worsen, David, and I see nothing redeeming about that country. I'm just appalled that the international media does not give a proper coverage to the depravities of that society. But thankfully, the alternative media is starting to bring out some of those things as with time.
Yeah. One of the member of the community sent a comment here quickly. If you could just comment on it. This one has to do with the low caste. Is there a different low caste, high caste? I don't understand that kind of system. If you could just
Well,
briefly.
here's a big problem. The caste system
Yeah.
was named by the British because they wanted
Mm,
to give a structure to the caste system of India. But in reality, it is the might makes right concept in that country. Whosoever has power wants to oppress whosoever he can. And that is what the
mm,
real caste system of India is. Most of the troubles related with the caste system that you hear about are actually the fights between two lower caste groups, and they fight to figure out who has more power over the other people. And when the lower caste people come into positions of power, as is the case with Modi and the president and the chief justice of India, who are all from the lower caste, they become more vicious than the upper caste
um,
people were. So the caste system is not all that easy to solve, and it is mostly a might makes right kind of system. There's
um,
nothing else to it. So that's the way it is, David.
Well, it is unfortunate. So at least one thing I'm going to have to do soon is to go ahead and draft a letter to Congress regarding the support for the sort of restrictions or even the banning completely of the H-1B visa. There are other smart people elsewhere. It doesn't matter where they come from, but for India, it has to stop. So, Jayant, I can't thank you enough, my friend, for carving out time for us here. It's always a treat. It's always informative, insightful. And the community, really, we are very, very grateful to you for sharing your knowledge with us. And we look forward to having you next time.
Great. Thanks very much, David.
My
Bye now.
pleasure. My pleasure. To the community, remember tomorrow I'm going to be talking about India, but from a different angle altogether. This has to do with the intelligence matters, especially what took place in Qatar in 2023, but what the Saudis end up doing, which I believe, knowing what I know, most likely has to do with some espionage cases. So I'll be addressing that tomorrow. I take this opportunity to say thank you to Fomin Tong for becoming a new member of the channel. Welcome to our community and look forward to having you here. So, and as always, remember, geopolitics impacts your daily life in more ways than one. Till next time, bye-bye.